All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I'm Anuja Kumar and with me is VC Pramod. The headlines. Cabinet Secretary reviews COVID-19 situation in the country. Says those eligible for second dose should be given priority in vaccination. India witnessing early signs of decline in new corona cases, says Health Ministry. More than 17 crore 51 lakh doses of COVID vaccine administered in the country so far. Bihar government allocates 1,000 crore rupees for free vaccination of 18 to 44 age group. Telangana government imposes a 10-day lockdown in the state beginning today. US approves corona vaccine for children between 12 and 15 years. Ladakh State Board for Wildlife approves 11 defense roads in the Union Territory. United Nations says India will be world's fastest growing major economy in 2022. And Nepal's president calls upon political parties to form a coalition government in the Himalayan nation. As the number of COVID cases is on the rise, we appeal to our listeners to take all precautions and all those above 18 years of age to get vaccinated without any hesitation. The vaccination for persons of age between 18 and 44 has begun at designated facilities. Stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki doori for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Cabinet Secretary Rajiv Gauba chaired the 33rd meeting with the states and union territories to review the COVID-19 situation in the country. Mr. Gauba briefed the states on the action taken by the Government of India in controlling the effect of the COVID pandemic since last year. He informed that the Prime Minister's active engagement with domestic industries for production and supply of liquid medical oxygen (LMO) since September last year has helped in resolving various logistics issues of transport of LMO on land, air and water. Mr. Gauba insisted that those eligible for second dose of vaccination should be given priority and the vaccination wastage should be minimized. Expressing his concern over the misinformation on the subject of vaccination, he mentioned that all vaccines that are procured either by the central or the state governments are actually meant for the public in the states and there is no consumption at the central level. During the meeting, Union Health Secretary Rajesh Bhushan requested the states and the union territories to prioritize in terms of testing, intensive action and local containment of the pandemic, strengthening of hospital infrastructure, augmentation of human resources and rational utilization of oxygen. He informed about the plan to install 1,213 pressure swing adsorption PSA plants within the next 3 months. Reiterating the judicious use of vaccines, he stressed the need for an awareness campaign on the importance of completion of both doses of vaccination for better immunity. The Health Ministry has said 13 states have more than 1 lakh active COVID-19 cases each. Briefing media in New Delhi yesterday, Health Ministry officials said 26 states and union territories have positivity rate of over 15%. Goa has the maximum case positivity rate of 49.6% and Maharashtra's positivity rate is 22.5%. The national positivity rate is around 21%. An early trend of decline in daily new COVID-19 cases and deaths has been noted in the country. India registered over 3,29,000 new COVID cases in the last 24 hours.
करीब 18 स्टेट्स और यूनियन टेरिटरीज देश में ऐसी हैं जहां पर या तो एक प्लेटोइंग इन टर्म्स ऑफ केसेस बीइंग रिपोर्टेड या एक डिक्रीज नोट किया जा रहा है, जिसमें मुख्यतः महाराष्ट्र, उत्तर प्रदेश, आंध्र प्रदेश, दिल्ली, राजस्थान, हरियाणा, छत्तीसगढ़, बिहार, गुजरात और ऐसे ही मध्य प्रदेश, उत्तराखंड, झारखंड जैसी स्टेट्स हैं जहां पर कि हम पाते हैं कि या तो केसेस की ग्रोथ जो है वो है उसमें थोड़ी कमी पाई गई है या उसमें एक रिडक्शन नोट किया गया है। जरूरी यह है कि यह स्टेट्स भी कंटिन्यूड फोकस अपना कंटेनमेंट पर बनाए रखें ताकि हम इन्फेक्शन के स्प्रेड को कम कर सकें।
India has administered more than 17 crore 51 lakh doses of COVID-19 vaccine in the country so far. These include over 95,81,000 healthcare workers who have taken the first dose and more than 65 lakh healthcare workers who have taken the second dose. Over 1 crore 41 lakh frontline workers have taken the first dose and more than 79 lakh frontline workers have taken the second dose. Union Health Ministry said that more than 23,85,000 beneficiaries were inoculated with COVID-19 vaccine doses yesterday, out of which more than 10,65,000 beneficiaries were vaccinated for the first dose and more than 13,19,000 beneficiaries received the second dose of the vaccine. The ministry said more than 4,74,000 beneficiaries of the age group 18 to 44 years received their first dose of COVID vaccine yesterday and cumulatively over 30,39,000 across 30 states and union territories. Centre has allocated additional 45,000 vials of tocilizumab to states and UTs to meet the increased demand. It will ensure sufficient availability of tocilizumab for COVID patients and augment the government's efforts to fight the pandemic. This was announced by Chemicals and Fertilizers Minister D.V. Sadananda Gowda yesterday. Tocilizumab is not manufactured in India and is sourced from a Swiss pharmaceutical company. A commercial quantity of 45,000 vials have been imported into India yesterday and they have been allocated to states and UTs. State governments have been advised to widely publicize the mechanism of allotment of this drug in their areas so that the needy patients and private hospitals can approach concerned authorities if they require the drug. The states have also been advised to take all measures to prevent hoarding and black marketing and ensure that the drug is used very judiciously and strictly as per the National Clinical Management Protocol for COVID-19 patients.
In order to address the surge in demand for medical oxygen, the centre has undertaken key measures to increase the availability, streamline the distribution and strengthen the oxygen storage infrastructure in the country. The Commerce and Industry Minister said the steps undertaken focused on the entire oxygen supply chain, including efforts for improving oxygen production, enhancing tanker availability to optimal logistics, improving oxygen storage at the last mile, and easing norms of procurement. Oxygen availability has been enhanced by increasing in production capacity and production, setting up of pressure swing adsorption plants, import of liquid medical oxygen from overseas, and procurement of oxygen concentrators. We have a report.
Oxygen digital tracking system has been set up for real-time monitoring and driver availability is being enhanced with training of MHV drivers. For improving oxygen shortage, number and capacity of cryogenic tankers at hospitals is being enhanced and medical oxygen cylinders are being procured. Relaxation of general financial rules has been undertaken to enable faster procurement of critical supplies. 50,000 metric tons of liquid oxygen is being imported from overseas with orders and delivery schedule for 5,800 metric tons finalized. Procurement of 1 lakh oxygen concentrators has been sanctioned under PM CARES Fund on 27th of last month. 1,594 PSA plants are being established to improve oxygen supply near demand clusters. Vidipendra Suparna Saigya, AIR News, Delhi.
The centre is continuously engaged in expeditious allocation and delivery of medical equipments and medicines to the states and union territories received from various countries to fight COVID-19. The Union Health Ministry in a statement said that a total of 9,200 oxygen concentrators, 5,243 oxygen cylinders, 19 oxygen generation plants, 5,913 ventilators and BiPAP and 3,44,000 remdesivir vials have been dispatched to the states and union territories so far. More from our correspondent.
The Government of India is receiving international donations and aid of COVID-19 relief medical supplies and equipment since 27th April from different countries to augment its efforts in fighting the surge in COVID cases in the country. The government is ensuring a streamlined and fast delivery of the global aid through faster custom clearances. The process of immediate allocation and streamlined delivery to the recipient states and institutions is being comprehensively monitored on a regular basis by the Health Ministry. Besides, a dedicated coordination cell has also been created in the Ministry to coordinate the receipt and allocation of foreign COVID relief materials. Anand Kumar, AIR News, Delhi.
A consignment carrying medical equipments, including 200 oxygen concentrators, arrived in India today. External Affairs Ministry has thanked the Republic of Korea for providing the support. So far, several countries have sent the medical aid to provide assistance to India in its fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. Another 78,595 vials of remdesivir from Gilead Sciences arrived in Mumbai yesterday. India has appreciated the gift from the US biopharmaceutical company. Gilead Sciences had sent 25,600 vials of remdesivir on the 8th of May.
US has approved Pfizer-BioNTech's COVID-19 vaccine for people between 12 and 15 years of age, making it the first for children. US Food and Drug Administration FDA expanded the emergency use authorization for the Pfizer shot to include youths aged 12 to 15. Shots could begin as soon as tomorrow after a Federal Vaccine Advisory Committee issues recommendations for using the two-dose vaccine in 12 to 15-year-olds. An announcement in this regard is expected today.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Cabinet Secretary reviews COVID-19 situation in the country. Says those eligible for second dose should be given priority in vaccination. India witnessing early signs of decline in new corona cases, says Health Ministry. More than 17 crore 51 lakh doses of COVID vaccine administered in the country so far. Bihar government allocates 1,000 crore rupees for free vaccination of 18 to 44 age group. Telangana government imposes a 10-day lockdown in the state beginning today. US approves corona vaccine for children between 12 and 15 years. Ladakh State Board for Wildlife approves 11 defense roads in the Union Territory. United Nations says India will be world's fastest growing major economy in 2022. And Nepal's president calls upon political parties to form a coalition government in the Himalayan nation. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
The Bihar government has allocated 1,000 crore rupees for free vaccination of 18 to 44 age group. The decision was taken at a cabinet meeting chaired by Chief Minister Nitish Kumar. State government has also decided to recruit 2,580 doctors in rural areas in view of the prevailing COVID situation. Meanwhile, 10,920 fresh cases were reported in the state during the last 24 hours and 13,852 people recovered yesterday. The state also reported 72 COVID fatalities. The state's recovery rate has risen to about 83%, while test positivity rate has declined to 9.92%. Over 5,07,000 people have so far been recovered from the infection. 84,08,557 people have been vaccinated in the state so far. In Telangana, a 10-day complete lockdown will come into force from 10 a.m. today. It will be in force till 6 a.m. next day, daily for 20 hours. The lockdown will be relaxed from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. for all activities. Telangana government has issued orders after a cabinet meeting held in Hyderabad last evening. All activities of agriculture sector, medical and health services, essential services like drinking water supply and power supply have been exempted from the lockdown. Public transport like RTC buses and metro rail will operate between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. daily. However, transportation will be as usual on national highways, while petrol and diesel pumps will remain open. Marriage functions can be held, but with the maximum attendance of 40 people. Similarly, funeral activities can be held with maximum attendance of 20 people. Details from our correspondent.
The state government has instructed the police to ensure total lockdown strictly and directed State Chief Secretary Somesh Kumar to ensure supply of essential medicines for COVID treatment and oxygen to private hospitals. To monitor the COVID treatment at local level, the state government has set up district-level committees headed by in-charge ministers and district collectors, DMHOs and superintendent of district hospital as members to monitor the COVID healthcare daily. The state government also decided to call for global tenders to procure COVID vaccines from other countries. Lakshmi, AIR News, Hyderabad.
Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha has announced a slew of measures to mitigate the sufferings of families who have lost their loved ones due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Lieutenant Governor said that senior citizens who have lost only earning member of the family will be provided special pension for life, while children who have lost their parents to this calamity will be provided with special scholarship by the government. Mr. Sinha said that 55 crore rupees will be released under State Disaster Response Fund (SDRF) to all the deputy commissioners, both divisional commissioners and J&K police for emergency use during the current COVID-19 crisis. More from our Srinagar correspondent.
Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha said that since the global pandemic has rendered thousands of daily workers jobless, so keeping that aspect in view, his administration has decided to provide 1,000 rupees per month to all registered construction workers, poniwalas, palkiwalas, pithuwalas for the next 2 months. He further said that the government is also adopting other mitigation strategies and all concerned officers have been directed to ensure the supply of ration to all ration card holders on priority basis. He added that installments of social welfare schemes like old age pension, Lali Beti, PMAY, MG Narega and other welfare schemes will be released immediately. Lieutenant Governor Sinha informed that in these challenging times, the old age homes, orphanages will also be extended all the possible support from the government, including ration, etc. Sunil Kohl for AR News from Srinagar.
A total of 12,481 new confirmed cases of coronavirus infection were reported in the national capital during the last 24 hours, taking the total number of cases to over 13,48,000. Delhi government said over 12,44,000 people affected with coronavirus have been cured so far. In the last 24 hours, 13,583 people recovered and 347 deaths were reported in the city.
The centre has asked the states along the Ganga to ensure strict vigilance and check future incidences of people dumping bodies in the river and its tributaries. Referring to media reports that bodies were spotted floating in Ganga and Yamuna in Bihar and Uttar Pradesh over the past 2 days, Director General National Mission for Clean Ganga, Rajiv Ranjan Mishra, has written a letter to the district Ganga committees chaired by district magistrates. He directed them to ensure strict vigilance along the length of the river to prevent and check such future incidences. Gujarat government has extended the night curfew with other restrictions in 36 cities and towns of the state. Now, the 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. night curfews will remain effective till the 18th of May. All industries, factories, production units, construction work and essential services will remain open. More from our Ahmedabad correspondent.
Despite the declining in new cases of COVID-19 in the state since last 2 weeks, Gujarat government has decided to continue night curfew and other restrictions till 18th May. This was decided in a state core committee meeting chaired by Chief Minister Vijay Rupani in Gandhinagar yesterday. Mr. Rupani also appealed the people to strictly follow the COVID-19 guidelines, including compulsory mask and social distancing. He said that extension of night curfew and other restrictions in 36 cities and towns are necessary to prevent the spread of COVID-19 infection. All political, social, religious, cultural, educational functions and gatherings will remain closed during this period. Yogesh Pandya, AR News, Ahmedabad.
Chhattisgarh government has sounded an alert in the tribal Bastar region after a new coronavirus variant has been detected in neighbouring Andhra Pradesh. This new variant is reported to be dangerously infectious. A report from our Raipur correspondent.
According to the Chhattisgarh government, the new strain of coronavirus detected in Andhra Pradesh is quite fatal. The state government has directed the divisional commissioner of Bastar and various district collectors of the region to be on high alert and to take all preventive steps to evade the deadly strain. Strict vigilance is being conducted on bordering areas. It has been made compulsory for the bus passengers from Andhra Pradesh to produce negative report. Besides, COVID testing is being done of drivers and cleaners of cargo vehicles coming from the Andhra Pradesh. People testing positive are being sent to COVID care centers, while migrants of Bastar region with a negative report are being sent to quarantine center as a precautionary measure. Vikalp Shukla, AIR News, Raipur.
Odisha has dispatched over 10,000 tons of medical oxygen to more than 10 states so far. State government has put in place a special cell to ensure smooth dispatch of oxygen through the green corridor to the needy states. At the same time, state government has directed the concerned officials to constantly monitor oxygen availability in hospitals across the state as well. More from our Bhubaneswar correspondent.
Currently, Odisha consumes about 53 tons of oxygen per day, while sending more than 10,270 metric tons of oxygen to other states to help them save precious lives from COVID-19. Meanwhile, the state government has sanctioned an amount of 20 crore rupees to set up 16 RT-PCR test centers in as many districts to help tackle COVID-19 through early case detection. On the other hand, even as the state is now midway through the 14-day statewide lockdown, the police have collected a fine of more than 28 crore rupees from the violators in their bid to enforce COVID-19 preventive protocols across the state. Girish Chandradas, AIR News, Bhubaneswar.
Karnataka has reported 39,510 new COVID infections, while 480 more deaths took the toll to 19,852. The state has 5,87,452 active cases. There were 22,584 persons discharged after recovery yesterday. More from our Bengaluru correspondent.
The positivity rate in the state remains high at 33.99% and case fatality rate stood at 1.21%. The state conducted 1,16,238 COVID tests yesterday, out of which 1,04,659 were RT-PCR tests. During the vaccination drive yesterday, 1,26,806 persons were vaccinated. Deputy Chief Minister Dr. Ashwath Narayana has said that 2 crore COVID vaccines will be procured through global tender. He also said that 1 lakh pulse oximeters will be distributed to all the districts and taluk hospitals. 10 lakh ivermectin tablets will also be procured by May 14th. Sudhindra, AIR News, Bengaluru.
Ladakh State Board for Wildlife has approved proposals for 11 defence roads in the Union Territory. Ladakh Lieutenant Governor R.K. Mathur chaired the second State Board for Wildlife meeting of Union Territory of Ladakh. The new roads will cover an area of 154.08 hectares. These proposals were shared with National Board for Wildlife for clearances. In the meeting, the State Wildlife Board presented border road construction proposals to Indo-Tibetan Border Police, ITBP, Central Public Works Department and Border Roads Organization for wildlife clearances.
Ladakh, due to its arid climate, is famous for pseudo-cereals like buckwheat. Ladakh Agriculture Department is taking series of steps to boost its production to double farmers' income and provide high nutrition value to the community. Buckwheat is traditional and second crop in the lower altitude areas of Ladakh like Sham region and Bogdang Turtuk areas along the Indo-Pak border. All India Radio Leh is celebrating 50 years in June this year. Our Leh correspondent has filed a special story from Sham region.
The Agriculture Department is promoting the traditional crop buckwheat, which is now forgotten crops in both traditional crop areas and non-traditional crop areas. The department is reviving the buckwheat cultivation in traditional areas where it has lost in the minds of farmers. After a series of awareness, demonstration and mobilization by the agriculture scientists of the department, the farmers have restarted the buckwheat cultivation on their field for the second consecutive this year. The department has distributed seeds at free of cost as incentive in Nurla village in Khalse subdivision and Saspol village in Saspol block. Revival of traditional crop was started first under Leh district plan. Agriculture scientist of the department Tashi Dolma says.
पिछले साल हमने कैपेक्स बजट में रिवाइवल ऑफ ट्रेडिशनल क्रॉप करके इसमें हमने बकवीट का सीड लाके फार्मर्स को ट्रेनिंग दिया, फार्मर्स के फील्ड पे जाके डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन दिया और कोशिश की कि डबल क्रॉप एरिया बोल और नुरला विलेज से उनको हम दोबारा से फार्मर्स को रिवाइव करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं.
Saspol is one of the village where the government has started revival of traditional crop from last year. Yangchen Dolma for AIR News from Saspol village of Leh Ladakh.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will not attend the G7 summit to be held in Cornwall in the UK in person. In response to media queries, External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Arindam Bagchi said the decision was taken keeping in mind the prevailing COVID situation. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson had invited Mr. Modi to attend the G7 summit as a special invitee.
United Nations has said that India will be the world's fastest growing major economy in 2022. In its mid-year update of the World Economic Situation and Prospects, WESP, United Nations projected that the Indian economy will grow at 10.1% in the calendar year 2022. China has been projected to grow at 5.8%, a slowdown from 8.2% in 2021. The report said that India will register a 7.5% growth rate in the calendar year 2021. The mid-year update provides an upward revision for growth projections for India from the UN forecasts released in January. Nepal President Bidya Devi Bhandari has called upon political parties to form a coalition government in the Himalayan nation by tomorrow. The move comes after Nepal Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli lost a vote of confidence in Parliament and no political party commands a majority in the House. The Oli government sought the vote of confidence on Monday after the Communist Party of Nepal Maoist Centre withdrew its support. Out of 232 lawmakers present in the House of Representatives, 93 votes were cast in favour of Oli, while 124 votes were cast against him. As many as 15 lawmakers stayed neutral. Oli needed 136 votes to win the vote of confidence in the 271 House of Representatives.
National Human Rights Commission NHRC has organized an online meeting with the NGOs, civil society organizations and human rights defenders to have an assessment of the ground realities of COVID-19 pandemic containment and its challenges, and to enable the Commission for requisite initiatives to mitigate the sufferings of the people. Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for today. National capital Delhi will see a generally cloudy sky with light rain. Mumbai will have a partly cloudy sky. Minimum temperature was 27 and the maximum will be 35 degrees Celsius. Chennai will have a partly cloudy sky with rain or drizzle. Minimum temperature was 28 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be 38 degrees. Kolkata will see rain or thunderstorm with strong gusty winds. Minimum temperature was 25 and maximum will be 35 degrees Celsius. Jammu will have thunderstorm with rain. Minimum temperature was 20 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be 33 degrees Celsius. Srinagar will see a generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Minimum temperature was 12 degrees Celsius and maximum will be 22 degrees Celsius. Leh will have a generally cloudy sky. Minimum temperature was 7 degrees and maximum will be 18 degrees. Gilgit will see a generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Muzaffarabad will have thunderstorm with rain.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. A front page headline in Times of India giving some relief reports at 12,500 lowest one-day cases in Delhi in a month. Positivity rate dips to 17.8%. Hindustan Times writes, COVID wave ebbing in 9 regions shows data. As the centre tells states to reserve 70% of supplies for second dose, the Tribune reports after UP invites global vax bids, Maharashtra, Delhi eye imports too. US eyes joint production of Johnson & Johnson vaccine in India in touch with SII, informs the Indian Express. The Hindu on its front page has a picture of a bus fitted with oxygen generators set to be launched by Karnataka government called Oxygen on Wheels to aid COVID-19 patients. The Pioneer mentions about WHO's thumbs down to ivermectin, remdesivir and plasma therapy under the headline, Miracle Drugs, No Silver Bullet. The Economic Times cites Arogya Setu to help build database of plasma donors as information on willing donors will be passed on to local authorities to combat the raging second wave. And finally, the Times of India headline writes about an expert panel recommending Covaxin Phase 2 and 3 trials soon on 2 to 18-year-olds.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Cabinet Secretary reviews COVID-19 situation in the country, says those eligible for second dose should be given priority in vaccination. India witnessing early signs of decline in new corona cases, says Health Ministry. More than 17 crore 51 lakh doses of COVID vaccine administered in the country so far. Bihar government allocates 1,000 crore rupees for free vaccination of 18 to 44 age group. Telangana government imposes a 10-day lockdown in the state beginning today. US approves corona vaccine for children between 12 and 15 years. Ladakh State Board for Wildlife approves 11 defense roads in the Union Territory. United Nations says India will be world's fastest growing major economy in 2022, and Nepal's president calls upon political parties to form a coalition government in the Himalayan nation. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.